Hey everyone, welcome to the last section of SQL masterclass, that is SQL tips and tricks. So basically in this lecture we are going to look at how to when you are going to interview, what are the tips and tricks you could use, and in this lecture we are going to look at those tips and tricks, and then in the next I am going to show you some questions that using those tips and tricks I am going to solve SQL questions. So, whenever in your interview, right, in data science interview or in your SQL interview, you need to first clearly understand, okay, what's the question. So, if you generally the most common question asked in SQL is like, get the topmost rank in following column or following section. So if you need to get the following thing, you first need to get everything clear. So you could ask them, okay, do you mean this, that we need to get the first column in this rank to be first? And the better way is to understand that by this is means you need to have conceptually clear that, okay, what the interview is asking, and I have no doubt, and you should be very much clear about this. And I would recommend you this YouTube video to follow. I would recommend you to look at this video, how to work at Google example. And in this video they have properly explained that, okay, first you need to be conceptualized, to be clear, then just write a query that is basically solving your question, and then you need to optimize it. So basically, for example, in coding, you need to do, like, if you have been asked some coding, you don't jump directly onto the final answer. You need to first to create a simple solution, might be a brute force, and then you need to do the optimizing part. So that's why how the interview gets clear. Okay, that guy knows. Okay, first he created the brute force method, then the optimized method. So he will know, okay, what following steps are being followed, and this would help the interview that you know the stuff. So first thing is understand the question very much clear. And now let us look at the second tip. Next step I have for you is have to remember this most common patterns. So there are generally questions that have been asked is like, find the duplicate or top n per group or calculate the average. So basically you need to know about some common patterns. So if found find duplicates question is asked, you need to know, okay, what structure I need to follow. So if there is a duplicate, right, then the count would be more than one. Why? Because duplicate contains more than one count. So if we need to say if something is duplicate, that might means that the count of that particular item should be more than one. So in the master common patterns, the first one is to find duplicates, and to find duplicates the count should be greater than 1. And to get the count we use count aggregate function. So how the query works, so we will first say, okay, select column name, select the column name, then the count, which means your particular column, or if you need to call star is for all, if you count needs to be done for the all, and then the table name that you need to follow, table name, from which table name you are from which table you are doing this. And then we have group by, basically which column you need to group it by, and then the your condition that the count should be greater than 1. So this is the main important point, because then it could be considered as duplicate. So this is one of the most common pattern, and I would recommend you to write this down, because it will help you in your interview. When you have to prepare, you would have some most common patterns. And the next thing is that we need to know about is top n per group. So basically if we need to calculate, okay, suppose you need to calculate top 5 movies or top 6 movies. So how you could do? And one thing we know about in the lecture, we know read about was advanced concept, that was ranking. And in this we know about rank, dense rank, and that's what we need to do. So first we need to select columns, then we make a rank over partition by column, and then we order by its particular group, and then we use column table name, that where we need to rank it by, and then we just say okay, we where rank is equal to 1 if we need to get the rank 1. If we need to get rank top 5, we could say rank less than 6, it will give us top 5. So basically 1 2 3 4 5 would be given us, or if we need to take till 6, we need to put over equal to the, this will give us uh, rank equal to 6. So basically 6 count. So that's basically two of the most common patterns that I have seen that are being asked in most of the SQL interview question. Now the next trick is to optimize the query. So what do I mean by optimize the query? So first what we need to know is index awareness. So first we need to know that which column we need to index. So and that's where we need to use where or join condition. Next, in lot of queries, you have seen that uh, people use directly, like they don't know which column, so just select everything. So select star is a good method, like for initially, but if you need to optimize, avoid it. So best is to get understand the question better and to use which column you need to use, and select star column name, then which table you need to select from, and then use exist instead of in, because it will help your query for those null statement avoidance. So if there is no column exists, it will try to search, but if in this, if you use exist, it will check okay if the column exists, then select, else it won't select. So if you have a column where exists, select one, and if this if some value is there, those value would be selected and shown. So that's the next thing is optimize query. First is understand the question correctly, then we need to master the most common question asked, then optimize queries. Now few other tips are debugging queries. So when you use joins, right, you need to check okay if it's correct join statement or not a correct join statement. So if it's working for like one of the test cases, it's not might be true that it would be working for other test cases. So you might need to validate those check join statement, and um, me- so you might need to validate those check your join statement first. Like if the join statement is correct, uh, inspect aggregation function. So if you are using group by and having by clause, you need to check those using break comments to break down like complex queries, so that uh, if third user comes to your SQL query, he needs to understand okay what you have written. So people say like I've seen a lot of people don't comment. So why? Because it's unnecessary, right? But to be honest, if you are working alone, it's okay. But if you are working with a team, a comment might be very helpful for other people to understand okay what he's doing in which function of line and what he is expecting. So doing comments is very helpful. So it break downs the complex query within the comments. So if a third person contributor want to contribute to your project, he will easily understand. Next is handle the edge cases. So one of the cases would be null handling. You need to handle those null cases. Okay, if it's null, so what do we do? So basically then we have a query like this, like case statement select case, and this might be new because it have a statement where it is case, but if it's denominator, then use null else numerator upon denominator and add as a result to table name. So here what we are doing is basically dividing numerator by denominator, but if denominator is null, then there is a condition that it would turn to infinity. And one thing is sure, that your computer might not like the infinity thing, and so there's no thing as infinity in programming languages. If that's true, then your programming might be you code like this, like suppose you don't handle those condition, there is known as like SQL injections and those common like common like bugs would like bring your whole system down. And then like one of the cases, like if your company is big and you are doing not handling those edge conditions, you might be losing lot of bugs when someone else have find out those. So it's better to have look at those null handling conditions, so it will be helpful for you. Next is practice advanced topics. So we have discussed about what are the we need to practice. We need to practice about those like statement, those rank statement, those join statement would help you to cover all those advanced topics. So next one is use SQL lead code. So basically, once you have done all those topics, you need to practice, right? And to practice, we have lead code, and lead code is generally good. You could practice on those. And next thing is practice your thought, present your thought process. So once you wrote down your code or you are writing your SQL query, so presenting your SQL query is one step, because it will help your mentor, okay, what he's following to do. Basically, it will help your mentor to know, okay, he is trying to solve this query through this process. Basically, it's also helpful because if in the end, if you're not able to get the correct result, but your interviewer might know, okay, he is following the correct procedure, and he might lack some of those, but he would eventually able to come up to the answer. Now let's look at again. So first thing is you need to understand the query, what's the question is about, what it is asking, what are the edge conditions you need to cover for. You need to know the question in and out. After this, you have to look for the common patterns, such as if it's finding duplicate, you could find duplicates. If you need to find top n per group, you need to calculate those. Then it's about optimizing query. So if you need to look at which index we need to query for, instead of using like select star, basically means that you need to select all things. Basically, you select particular column name and then run your query. Then we have debugging queries, check join statement in a left hand join that you want to use. Then you could validate it by group by or having by logic, and you could use comments to break the complex query with the comments. Next, last is the handle the edge cases. If there is null, you need to handle those. Basically, when the denominator is null, then you need to handle those, and the numerator divided by denominator as the end of the result. Next is practice advanced topic, right? Those topic we have looked on to chapter 4. In this, we have looked on to join statement, like statement, uh, ranking statement, dense rank, that we have looked. Next is use SQL lead code for your practice. You could, there are a lot of sheets out there, but I will suggest you just take 50 questions, but different variety of those. It would very helpful, and present your thought process in your interview. So basically, when you are solving your question and you want to present your thoughts, okay, I'm solving this particular steps and this steps. Even in the end of the day, if your result query is not up to the mark or it's not correct, but the step process is right, if your thought process is correct and you are able to present it to your interviewer, he might consider that this guy knows the stuff, and he would consider it to you to be selected for the next round. And that's what is the tips and tricks for your SQL interview process. And with this, we will look on to some question and Q&A that you could solve. So now let us look at how to solve problems. So first question is recyclable and low fat products. So here we have a table with product ID, integer, low fats, enum, recyclable, enum. Basically, and then we have product ID to be a primary key with unique values for this table. Low fat is a enum category of type Y and N, where enum is basically enumerative. Basically, you could categorize into two parts, where Y means the low fat product, low fat, and N means it's not. And you don't need to like get scared of its enum or something else that you don't know. Write a solution to find the IDs of the product that both are low fat and recyclable. Return the result table in any order. The result format is should be in the following order. So we need to show product ID, low fats and recyclable. So the output should be product ID, and then which are low in fats and recyclable that we need to return. So only product 1 and 3 are in low fat. So here 1 you could see that it's also in low fats and recyclable, so that we could return. So how do we solve this? So basically, let me open new pen. So here we have the product, right? In this we have this table. In this we have those two things, that is low fats, and we have recyclable in those two columns in that table. So in this we have to only these are enums that contain y and n types. So in this we need to return only those two items which contains true, y basically yes for low fats and recyclable. So we need to create a query that goes iterate through this, and in this we need to get the query which is low fat and recyclable. So how do we could do this? So first we need on only we need to return as product ID also, to remember. So how do we do this? So basically if we go here, we basically remove the comments, and then in the caps select what we need to select. We need to select the product ID. So select product ID, um, ID from which table we need to select, basically from table products, where um, low fats is equal to null, is equal to yes, and recyclable is equal to yes, that we need. And if we run our query, it passes the first conditions. Let us hope test for it, submit, and it beats 78% basically. But now what we need to do is, let us see analyze complexity. Does it okay? I thought it was going to use some Gemini LLM because of this start login. But if I was asked this question in interview, how would I solve this? So basically, it's very simple question, although, but I will first try to understand, and then I will ask the interviewer that okay, the product that ID need to show, that should have only low fats and recyclable, and the interviewer might say yes, that we need to show, and then I have whole thing concept clear. Then I need to create a basically simple query. Basically what I could do is here, like instead of product ID I could do this, select star everything, and just get all those things. And then once I get an idea, okay, we need to do this, we are getting the right idea, like output is getting product ID, like we are getting only low fats and recyclable, then we could just update our code to show only product ID, and then we get the product ID. And once I submit, I could show them this, the result, the idea basically. And here's the thing is, this is linear query, so the time complexity is O of n. And you could see it's previously it was 78, it's now 87 basically, but it's up to like PC how, like on the server how fast it runs the query. It's nothing going to be like this is optimized solution although, but what happen is, if you know from data science, there are time complexity, and basically the O of n is the time complexity, which is it's this query is linear basically. And if it's linear, then what happen is like the PC would take time, but it would be lesser than O of n square, which is basically the query which are in nested loops, that it's fastest from them, and or other than those it's faster from other queries that are time constant, that is that they do not need to run on all of the table. So basically we are when our query runs, it goes to all the column product ID and checks if it's low fats or not. But if it's and this is optimized because to get the low fats, which is both like low fats and recyclable, we need to go through all the column and check it. But if you have like if you want to optimize your query, like this is one of, for this question this is optimized, but for example there is a query that is very time constant, basically it needs to go to some column name and want to check. Basically you would say if it needs to go to the column 0 and thus check, then this is O of 1 of complexity. Why? Because it's going only one thing, like one of the product and one of the columns, so its time constant is O of 1 and it would be very faster. And this thing, when you discuss this thing in the interview, it sets you apart. Why? Because if the company like company pays billion of dollars to optimize this thing, so if the company have billions of user, you could imagine how much cost effective it would be if they use a better optimized way. And this sets you apart, this makes you a better developer. And that's the thing. Because why? Because if you created algorithm which is very fast and effective, you could out through those big giants corporation, because by selling that you are fastest and speedest and offering cheap ways. Why? Because inside your that your algorithm is best and it's running at O of uh, constant time, hopefully. And then that's what you make your coding like thinking like this, or like that's what it's mainly is. Because in real life those time complexity plays crucial role in this. For example, in Amazon, Netflix, all those have to be a very optimized. If they don't, you could imagine billions of people are streaming on those devices. If they fail, you could imagine how much costly it would be for them. You could similarly imagine, for example, in Hotstar, right? When the peak comes, they have crores of users and millions of users. So if a particular user are coming at like for a span of time, millions of users are coming, you could imagine how much server load it would get, and they need to scale this accordingly to it. But that's just theory aside. Let us submit this, and once we wait, let it speed up to submit or thing. And once it submits, you could add a solution to this, like O of and you could just post it up. And you would see that okay, I have done my part, easy SQL solution. And you could see that this reputation, by doing this your reputation increases. I don't do, because I only solve those 50 question again and again. But you could see that someone gives you star or someone likes your code, um, would help you to increase your your reputation. So here you could see that my this question have 197 views, which beats 100% of 90% of in space of time, and it have two upvotes. Basically, it was in Rust, and that question was very much better. And this allowed me to have better reputation and have four reputation because of this. But that's what's the thing is your contributor graph would also increase. You could see that I have solved like for around 50 questions. Those questions are 50 questions that I always solve. And why? Because there is thing, right? If you want to cut an axe, you need to prepare do like do thing over and over again, and once you are comfortable it, you could solve all those other questions easily. So that's what the mantra is. That's what I believe on. So that's how you solve this question, and how you represent to your interview. Now let us look at some other questions. Now let us look at the second question that we are going to look at is find customer referee. Here in this we have a table customer that we could see, and in this we could see it have a ID integer, name varchar, basically a string. Then we have referee ID. In SQL, ID is the primary key where it could you could also refer it to the other column as well for this table. Each row of this table indicates the ID of a customer, their name, and the ID of the customer who referred them. So this is basically you are trying to understand the table, and once you get the type of question in the interview, you just ask this type of question. Okay, is this unique? Is this a primary key? Is this a foreign key? Could you just ask this question into the interview until you get the clear idea to the question. Once you are have got the clear idea of the question, find the name of the customer who are not referred by the customer with ID 2. So okay, so let's see what we have to do. So I will open Excel draw basically to uh, draw the reference. So basically in this we need to have a table column with ID name and reference ID name, and then we have another column that is reference ID, and in this we need to add a like get the user who was not referred by the reference customer ID 2. Okay, so the ID is our customer ID. So here the ID is our customer ID. So this is our customer ID. And to solve this, basically what I will do is will open this code, remove this, and I will write now first thing that is select name. But I will see. Okay, we need to show the name. Select name from customers, and then where reference ID is not equal to 2. So let's test this if it runs or not. So what we have to do is we also need to check for some other cases as well, I think. So let's see. Here we have a typo that it should be customer. It's saying that this needs to be fixed. Okay, we don't need to put space between not equal to and not and equal to, like exclamation. So I have space, which is a typo mistake. Reference ID is not declared in the clause, so it's referee ID. So it should be referee ID. So I'm also trying to solve it at first time, and this is our brute force solution. I know it's going to be failed, and I know the reason because this needs to be referee ID. Basically, once again typo. Let me check once again. Yeah, but what the thing is, we need to also look for the referee ID if it's not null. So here you could see if it's not null, we need to look out for those as well because it's not reference ID by 2. So with this we could also add referee ID is null basically. And then we run it. Hopefully it should be accepted. Let us see. Okay. So one of the typo was not to put or. Basically, if there are two cases, we need to put one more uh, thing like, okay, if it's going to be a or statement or an and statement which is common to both or not. But basically we are doing union. Basically if it's null or if it's not equal to 2, we need to accept those. So here we have those conditions checked out. You could see that, okay, null value should be also be considered. Will Jane and Bill have null, so they should be shown, and they are getting shown with Zach also. That's done. If I run the code, it's accepted, and if I submit it, so you would see it's beat 98.81. And first, what I will do is solution. I will post it someone to show it. Easy solution. I could type easy solution, and we could say beats 98.91%. Basically, you could see it almost beat every other solution. And this is O of n. And basically, you could look at data science, sorry, data, um, DSA, data structure algorithm for time complexity, and it was just a simple thing you need to look out for to get the uh, time complexity. And here the time complexity is O of 1 because it does not have those loops, so it's O of 1. And if it have some loops, then it would be of O of n square. If it had more than one loop, two loops, its time complexity would be n cube. And similarly O of n. And basically you don't want to write a query that has too much time complexity. Basically it means time consumed to process those query, and the higher the time complexity, the slower your output would be. And you don't want your time complexity to be too high. The lesser the time complexity, the better it is, and it's generally more valuable, and it makes you better coder to think, okay, how I could optimize this. And this is optimized solution because you have to look out for all those cases in which reference ID is not null, and then if it's null, you need to update it, get those value and show it. Now I'm not going to add those things, what's my intuition, but you have to add your intuition. You could add, okay, we need to find those that what we have discussed. Basically we need to get the customer, we have customer ID, name, reference ID, and in this we need to look out for the reference ID, and then you could show your SQL code. In this you could show that we first tried this method. In this we did not consider for null, but we should also consider for null, and all those you could discuss here. But you could say, I'm just for posting purpose I'm saying this is best solution. Somebody would like this or not, I don't know, but yeah, just for posting it, it's for your own thing that you have already solved. And you could see other solution as well, like here's Akshay Jain who have solved this, and you could see can you please upload me. So you could also add those meme and stuff, but that's the basic easy solution, and that you need to look for. With this I think we could wrap up this problem, and let's look at some more questions. Now let us look at to our next question, that is student and examination. In this we have table students, and in this we have student ID, student name, varchar, and this is a primary key. So each row of this table contains the ID, name of the ID, and the school. So what we need to do is we need to find, and here when okay, this is the student table, then we have student ID as the primary key with unique values, and then we have other table which is subject with subject name, with examination name, and there is no primary key. So here what we need to do is basically let us find out what we need to get. We need to show student ID, student name, subject, and attendance. So write a solution to find the number of time each student attended each exam. Return the result table in order and subject name. So we need to write a solution to find the number of times each student attended each exam. So we need to find, okay, which student have attended which exam, and we need to return the student ID with the name. So we have student name, student ID, and attendance marks. Okay, so here we have student ID, student name, then we have the subject name that we have, and subject name we could make a joint statement on examination, and then we could get the subject name, student ID, and then we could calculate the number of students that have attempted the exam. So what we need to do is, basically, let me open the Excel draw. Here we have um, what we have. We have column name, which is student, with student ID and student name. So it's ID and student name. This column is, or let me check, students. This column table name is students. Now we have also our next table. Sorry, let me next table, and so better I draw it here, so it's very easy to understand. So we have next table as subjects, and in this we have column name type to be subject name and varchar. So we have this column name to be subject name, this is a varchar, and in this is the primary key. Each row of the contain the number of one subject in the school. And in this we have the examination, the number of subjects student have taken the examination. So we have next column, examination, and here we have student ID, which is not a primary key because one student could take many exam, and we have subject name. So what we need to do is, we have this column, and then we need to make a joint statement on the subject one, and to make a left joint statement on subject one. So subject ID should be equal to subject name, like this subject ID, and student ID should be equal to this. And once that's done, we are able to get the number of counts. So basically, let us see how to write this. This is a little complex one, and if this is little complex one, not to worry, we will see how to look onto the solution. So select, then we need to select from like E dot, which is what we need to show, that is basically I will show down the code Excel, and here basically what I have done is, I will just go through the code. So basically in this we have student ID, student name, subject name, and the count, and we have changed the count as the attendant examination. And from student S, we make a inner join statement on subject, and then also like on the left join to the examination, where what are the conditions, that student ID should be equal to student ID is equal to subject name, and subject name, and then we just group by the subject name, and that's once it's done, we run it. Or answer is selected. It's easy one basically, and we just need to submit it for once again. And you could also make submission to this, but I'm okay with not submitting this. Basically, that's how you approach a question in SQL interview classes. And with this, I think we could wrap up this question, and let's see few more questions. Hey everyone, in today's lecture we are going to look at some advanced SQL question based interview question. So first question that we are going to look at is replace employee ID with the unique identifier. So what we are going to go through is we are going to look at how to approach this question, and we are going to look at some 3 or 4 or 5 questions, and then we are going to look at how in those questions we are going to look at how to approach this to our schematic diagrams, and then we are going to write down the SQL script that we for this. So first question is replace employee ID with the unique identifier. So here we have the table name columns, table name employees, and with column name ID and name. So we have in the employees we have 2 columns, that is ID and name. ID is the primary key that we have already given, so which means it's in the next table that we have, that is employed uni. We have those 2 tables there, and in this we have each row of this table contains the ID and the name of an employee in a company. So we have those ID, we have this name, and then the unique ID. Unique ID is the primary key. Both are the primary key, which is means that first thing is that ID could be placed as the foreign key. What I mean by foreign key is that it could be considered as the key to connect both the columns, and the unique ID is could be considered as a primary key, which means it's not null and each value is very unique. So primary key combination of the columns with unique values. Each row of this table contains the ID and the corresponding unique ID of the employee. So we have got this table, and I'm also solving it now. I have not solved this question previously, so we will look onto those, like how we could solve this. So we have first could let's look at write a solution to show that unique ID of each user. If a user does not have a unique ID, replace just show null. So write a so what we need to do is basically we need to write a script that could show us the unique ID and the name of the employee, like this in this. So employee table 1 and employee unique, and the output should be unique ID with the those. So if you consider this, so what we need to do is basically we need to use join statement, and that's correct. We need to use join statement, but on which part? Let's see. So write a solution to show unique ID of each user. So we need to show the unique ID of each user. If a unique ID does not have, replace just show null. So if a unique ID does not exist, we just need to show the null values. Okay, so we have got, okay, if we don't have unique values, then we need to show null values, or we can't yeah, return the table in the any order. So here we have 2 tables, right? Table 1 with employee unique, and which contains ID and unique ID, and here we have employees which contain name and ID. So we need to get the name with their unique ID, basically this part. So which join we need to make? And yes, this is right join we need to make, and we will get our table value with unique IDs on them. So here Alice, those with have unique ID will be shown, and if they does not contain, it will be shown null. Now what we just need to do is basically make a right join statement without any condition. So I will zoom in first. Zoom in. Yeah. First we select the thing we need to show. So first we need to show unique ID name from which table, from table 1. So we could consider this as table 1 or this as any table 2, and then we could do just the swap of whole thing. Basically on table 1 in the next statement table 2 would be table 1, like so. Here I could consider this one as employee uni as a table 1, employee uni as a table 1, and we need to make a right join on table 2. So table 2 would be now for employee tables, so employees, and then on what's the condition. So here the employee uni dot id should be equal to employees dot id, and if I run this, we have gotten our result, and if I submit this, it would be now. What you could do is you could use left join and try to attempt this part as itself. Just you need to switch the table name. So here instead of uni it should be game employees, and then the answer would be same. And I think, yeah, most of the range lies in here because we need to use right join, and I don't think there would be any other case scenario that you could use for this solution. So what you could do is basically for your LinkedIn profile you could also submit this, but it might help in your profile, and just explain that what you have done. Basically I won't do it because I already have like because already have gone through all this question. I'm just trying to give you idea how to approach this question. So basically what you need to understand is, basically you need to have this diagram in your head. Okay, this is employee uni and this is employee, then I need to get this from this table if we join. And how could I get those, like, because this contains the unique ID, and I need to get unique ID and as well as employees name. So how would I able to do this? So first thing you in this mind you came was, okay, we need to use the join statement. But here there is when we need to use the right join is because we need to get show the unique ID of each user. If a user do not have unique ID, just replace it by 0. So that's case we are considering that also. So that's why we are using right join statement. So where the user unique value ID is 0, that would be considered as a null. Now let's move on to our next question and see how to approach that question. Now let us look at the next question that we are going to solve is, that is product sales analysis 1. So first we look at, okay, what kind of table we have. So first we need to get clear on, okay, which table we are going to look at, what's the question, what we need to show. And SQL questions are very easy and could be sometimes tricky, but it's very fun to solve. Like it's like a I think it could be said as an English statement that we need to get, and there is some sort of a puzzle. So you have this table, you have this table, and then you need to use some kind of query to get the result. So that could be a challenging thing. So we have sales in here. We have type to be integer type and combination of columns with unique value. So sales ID are unique values here. Product ID is a foreign key here, product ID. So you could use as a reference column to other product, that is product table. Each row of this table shows as a sale on the product ID in set, and note that price is per unit. So here we have price as per unit. We have next table name product in which we have column type product ID and product name. In this we have type to be integer and varchar as the type. Now write a solution to report that product name, year, price for each sale on this. So what we need to do is, uh, first we need to like write a solution to report the product name and all those things. Okay, so first we have, let's say we have sales table here. So from this question what we get is we have sales table here and we have a product table, and then we need to return everything, I think. So write a solution to report the product name, year, price for each sale ID in the sales table. So for each sales ID we need to get all the sales ID. For each sales ID we need to get all the product name, column, all those things. So basically what we need to do is we need to make only full join, and that will help us to resolve all this issue. So basically full join will give you all the product name, product, everything from the sales ID, and you will be able to get all the, through join statement you will be able to get all this data. So what we have here is basically, let me open the question and close this out. So now what I will do is, what we need to first select the column is, we need to select sales ID, product ID, year, quantity, price, and select sales ID, sale ID. We need to select product ID, we need to select year, quantity, we need to select the price. Okay, we have selected all the columns that we need to select from the tables. So from which table one we need to first select? So from table one, first we could select the all this, and then we need to just make a join statement to this to get the product ID and the product ID we need to get. So we select from product sales, and then we need to make a join statement on both the things. So join table 2. What is our table 2? Basically product, and then what we need to do is on sales dot sale ID. Sorry, so I think we have product ID as the foreign key. Here it is written. So I was worrying that we have somewhere like sale ID is not there. So that's why product ID is our foreign key. So we'll wrote those down, product ID, and then we need to write this down for this product 2, product ID, and then we could run this. Product ID is in the field is ambiguous. Okay, let's me check. The reason why it's saying product ID is ambiguous because we have selected all those things. So here it shouldn't be product ID because we are not taking it from the product sales. So we just only need to show sale ID and product year, quantity, rice, and that's why it's giving some error. I think quantity in the field list, quantity is also extra part that we need not need to show. And if you have this database and if you are able to run this on PostgreSQL, you might able to run this, and here we could see that output and expected output. So sale ID, product name. So here we need to, instead of sale ID, we need to, it's saying that we need to get the product name, and I think year and price are correct. Yeah. So product instead of sale ID, what we could do is product name, and this, I think always this error are helpful for us because we know there is 100 when you approach this kind of a question, there is like um, 90 90% of chance that you might not able to attempt in first try, and it's and then the error occurs, and the reason for error occurs is because it will help you to understand, okay, this is my error and how to approach this, and this is very helpful in your software development or in your data science journey, because there will be chances that those error are lot, and to approach those error, how you should be able to approach this error is another skill in data science. And it uh, like people could not make any lectures on to this. It come across when you face it more and more error, you get very much comfortable into it. Okay, if this is error, I know I could solve this, instead of like you could skipping all this question or just passing by it, it won't help. So you need to know, okay, if there is any error and how could I beat this. So here we have this, and all those questions you could make notes or related tags. For this, let us make a solution, and I will show you, like, um, just remove this. I will just make a simple title solution for product sale analysis 1. And uh, you would make some comments about that using join statement. We could solve this question easily. And the reason why I post this is because it will be helpful for some other people when they see this question, and they are they will be able to see, okay, how to solve this. And um, I'm going to repeat itself that it helps in your views in stats, this to think that, okay, you are making some progress. And yeah, that's all. Like, you could see, okay, those reputation force, like some would like those question, like your approach. And here you could see like some I would for reputation in lead code. And the reason I got it, because I whenever I solve, just upload it, and some people find it helpful, some people upvote those. And like similarly, you could see this Pascal time beats on Rust. I've solved it, so some people could like it, and it would be helpful for each other. And yeah, when you show your lead code profile, which is now people are shifting from lead code because of LLMs. You could use easy LLM, and it was acceptable, but it's still relevant. People could see that, okay, he have practice a lot on those questions, and it's like a positive side to the interview. Now let us move on to the next question and see how we could solve. Now let us look on to the next question, that is employee bonus. So here we have column name, employee ID, name, supervisor, salary, and the type are integer, varchar, integer, and integer. So employee ID type is integer, name, varchar. Varchar is basically, you could consider as string, like contains a lot of characters. So varchar, supervisor as integer, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, and salary as an integer type. So employee ID is the column with the unique value. So employee ID is the value could be considered as unique value, and I think it could be considered as foreign key here. Why? Because you could connect those tables. Each row of this table indicates the name and the ID of an employee in addition to their salary and the ID of their manager. So we have got their ID of their manager, all those things we have got. Similarly, we have table bonus. In this, we have employee ID, which could be used to connect this two table, and we have bonus integer. So okay, we have employee ID is the foreign key, and each row of this table contains the ID of the employee and their respective bonus. Write a solution to put the name and the bonus with the write a solution to report the name and bonus amount of each employee with a bonus less than 1000. So okay, here we have bonuses, and they have table bonus. So here, if we look onto this, we what we did is basically we need to check if someone have bonus less than 1000, and we need to show that. So here we could see that employee ID 2 has a bonus of rupees 500, and employee ID 2 is basically Dan, and let me, yeah, it's Dan, and he has like Dan has employee it needs to be shown, and we could see that other employees does not have any bonuses, so they are also being shown. So we could see that Ron, Brad, and John did not have any bonuses, so there we should also include this. So this is very tricky question, and it might could you throw you off because you might, okay, so we need to make a condition, okay, where is bonus is less than 1000, we need to show. That's the first case, but you need to consider the edge case, that is, okay, when there is no bonus given to employee ID and bonus did not have, we need to look on to for that as well. So what we need to do is, first we need to create this table. So we have this employees, in this we have employee table, I think, and I think the next table name is bonus. So what we need to do here is so what we need to do is we need to get the employee name, and we need to have their bonuses, basically this part of this there, and we need to check also that we need to return this. So basically what this kind of join is, so employees are table 1 and bonus is our table 2, this is a left join, and uh, because we need to show bonus is less than 1000, we need to show that also, where bonus is less than 1000 we need to consider that case, or bonus is null, we need to have that condition. So how we could solve this? So uh, employee bonus, let's deep dive into the, okay, so first we select what things we need to show first. So we need to show uh, yeah, we need to select name, and we need to select bonus, from where we need to select, so our employee is the first table, then the next statement would automatically be your table 2, left join on table bonus, and on this what we need to do is we need to make a condition that, okay, the how you could connect those basically first. So employee dot emp id should be equal to bonus dot emp id. Okay, so we have got this where, and what's the next condition is where bonus should be less than I think 1000, it's, yeah, so it should be less than 1000, so less than 1000, and or bonus is null. I hope let's see if it's submitted. So yeah, we have submitted it, and let's submit it, and here you could also make like submission and post it out. Now let's see the last question that we are going to look at is rank scores. So here we have the column name, ID scores, we have integer type, we have score decimal, and here is the ID is the primary key, and what we need to do is write a solution to find the rank of the scores. The ranking should be calculated according, the score should be ranked from highest to the lowest based on the score. So we need to score like rank based on the descending score. Basically, the lowest to high, the highest the highest the score, the lowest the rank is. And if there is a tie between the both should have the same ranking. After a tie, the ranking should be a next consecutive integer, and in other words, holes between ranks. And with these two statements, could you guess which thing we have to use? And if you are saying dense rank, yes, because we that's why uh, the purpose of dense rank was this only. So if there is a tie between two scores, both should have the same ranking, and then the next ranking should not be skipped. Return the result order by score in descending order. The result should be in the former order. And let's see how we could approach this. So we need to use dense rank and basically um, just use the order by descending score, and then we are good to go. So what I will do is first is I will select what I need to select and create a ranking. So I will do this. So what will I will do is select score, and then we need to create a dense rank over, and then what we need to do is we need to order by it by scores score descending, and then we need to change it because we need to make this as a rank integer type. So like here we need to use that rank, you could not call it a dense rank. And then we need to say it from which table we are selecting it. I think scores it is, so let's check. Yeah, S capital, so scores, and let's run it. And I think yeah, I know score. Let's see what's the issue and try to fix it. And basically, I found the issue and tested out. The issue was that there was this mistake with the comma. Once you fix it, this is very simple solution. And here's how you use TensorFlow. And with this, we could wrap up our lecture. And I will see you on to the next lecture. That is in which we are going to look at how you could connect your MySQL with Python. And mostly now SQL commands are completed. Now I would suggest you to attempt a lot of question lists that I will be providing you in this course. And I hope to see you on to the next lecture. Thank you everyone. Hey everyone, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to look at some coding question on SQL based on our previous lecture that we have looked onto, that is basic SQL. So we are going to look at some coding questions based on SQL that includes where, select, from, having, order by. And here, before we move on, I have suggestion how to approach this question answers in SQLs. So now let us look at how you could approach SQL question. So my first tip is, instead of solving 1000 SQL question, basically I recommend you to solve like 100 SQL questions, and these questions should be a variety question. So this will help you. Uh, why variety of question? Because this will help you give a control. Okay, what type of question I can get, what type of question I can solve. So when you go to the interview, basically you won't have to like you won't hesitate if any other questions come. And it's why 100, because you could because once you solved 100, you practice those question again. So this thing is because there is like saying that if I have a tree, like I will like take a lot of time to sharpen my time to the axe instead of cutting the tree. So once you are very comfortable with this 100 SQL question, you could easily solve any other 1000 SQL question or any other question. So basically you try to solve these question again and again, and then when you are comfortable at a time, then you move on, and those questions would be very easy with you. So that's the tip that I wanted to give you, that you solve only 100 questions again and again. This will and that should be a variety of questions.
and this will help you to give like have a control on your, like when you go to the interview, you will have you won't stress out because you already have solved lot of variety of questions. Now let us look at some SQL question, and I will give you some ideas and how, tips and tricks that how you could approach questions. So I will be taking a few questions from Lead Code uh, and some other websites, because that I've already curated some list that I think would be uh, good enough to give you practice on lot of variety of questions. So let's see how you could solve them. So what you could do is basically there you need to create a Lead Code account basically, and if you go to leadcode.com, you just need to sign in, and I think you could sign in with your Google account. And here is I've already created my account. You could create here your account. And why I'm saying that, because when you go to the interview, lot of people, like previous day it was very mandatory. Now the lead code have been the significance have been reduced, because people use nowadays use lot of chat gpt thing to solve those, but it still remain in the significance. So I'm just signing in. I don't know why it's giving me some issue. Let me check with Google. And when I'm signed in, uh, yeah, here's my account, and I will give you account how lead code works and how you could solve. So I usually solve when I have DSO question. I usually solve around 50 of questions, and then I solved it again, and then I got practice into those, and then I was also able to crack a lot of uh, product based company. And one such thing was in my college. I was able to crack uh, product based company Fire, which became the fastest unicorn in India, and because of going through this question again and again. So we are going to solve SQL question, and I'm just giving you like walk through how you could solve all other questions in this. So here you could go to the problem statement, and here in this, if you go to the database, you have lot of questions out there you could solve. And basically I'm going to give you list that will almost contains the lead code question that you could solve. And once you are done with the 100 question, or you want to experience your like how you could solve those, you could solve these questions. So with this it's very simple. The navigation is simple. You need to code it out. Now let us look at how you could solve the SQL question. So I will be stopping this video, and then I will open the question, and then we will try to solve it together. So this is the first question that we are going to look at. Actors and directors who cooperated at least 3 times. Okay, so we have given the table scheme that we have column name actor ID, director ID, and timestamp, and the type of those data types are integers. So timestamp is the primary key. What do you mean by primary key? Which could easily connect those two tables. Write a solution to find all the actors ID, directors ID, where the actors has cooperated with the director at least 3 times. So return the result in table any order. The result should be in the following order. So here's we have actor ID, director ID, and the timestamp they have cooperated. So like if you see 110 timestamp, they have zero one time cooperated. Then they have cooperated one time here, and we could see that they have also one time cooperated here. So they have been cooperated at least 3 times. Uh, so this is our solution. So I hope you don't have any doubt here. Basically, we have actor ID and director ID. I'm also solving at it, looking at once. I have not solved it previous time, so I've got an idea. So basically, next thing what should in my mind come is basically, um, let me. So here's my right column. We have actor ID. We have then we have next column, that is director ID. and then we have timestamp, right? So how we could solve this? So basically what we could do is, uh, we could group by this column, we could group by this order, by actor ID and director ID, and then what could we do is basically we could count. Okay, uh, then we what we are doing is basically grouping this two, and we are taking the count, and then we got what we need to do is we need to check if it's greater than 3. So if you remember, we are what we are doing is basically we are grouping actor ID and director ID, and then we could check the count should be greater than 3, and we have the timestamp here. So now let us look at how we could solve this. So basically what we need to do is, or table or table is actor director table. So we need to select the actor director table. So we will follow the camel casing, select actor ID, actor ID. Okay, so yeah, actor ID, let me zoom in this. So yeah, I am able to zoom in. So select actor ID, and then what we need to select actor ID, director ID, and then we also need to have, uh, yeah, that's all we need from our table. Select actor ID, director ID. Why? Because we need to, in the output, you remember, we need to show only these two tables. So we are selecting those two, and then which table we are selecting from? We are selecting from this table, actor director table. So from actor director table, and then once we are done, we need to group it by actor director, group by actor ID, director ID, right? And then we are going to use aggregate function, that is having by. And if you know that group by is always used by some aggregate function, so we are going to use having count, and in which timestamp, both of these timestamps should be greater equal to 3. And let us see if we run it on the test case. uh, Let me zoom out, and if I go to test 1 case, test 1, and test result, you must run to submit your code. So we just run our code. Let us see. So yeah, the first test rate is passed. So let us look at the submit. Hopefully it should be passed. And once you are submit, yeah, 90, like, it's very good solution. It beats almost all other things. So what we need to do is, once you are done, I always recommend you, what you could do is basically submit your solution. Why? Because once you submit your solution, other people will look onto your solution, and you have something to show onto your code. uh, like, you could add title like, actor direct, like most common ways, like you could add beats 99.9%. That's the common phrase. Like in lead code, it's used if you need views. Beats 91.9 solution, and other people could look onto your solution and give you a code. And this way, you could, once you are in uh, like want to go to interview at the end of the day, you could show your profile. Like, I have already submitted these question, and yeah, here is also one thing. You could see I have also submitted questions, and some people have starred my answers. Like here you could see, and other people could also solve, look onto your profile, see your solutions that have been submitted, and you could see that, okay, which is the code is must submitted. And you could see, right, this question that I have done was able to beat like 99%, and it was upvoted by two people, and whether or not, but it helped some people out there to like your solution would reach out to other people as well. So now let us to take another question that we could solve. So here we have solved this one. I will open the next question that we could solve, and what I will do is I will copy this link. So when you watch this video, you could try to attempt this question by yourself. Like you, what you need to do is basically try to practice. The much you practice, the more you will able to do it. So I will copy this link and I will paste into the. I have notepad, so I will open the notepad for myself. Okay, so new location, and then I will save this. So when I um, when I post this video, you will be able to solve all those questions. So this question we have done. Now let us look at two or three more questions, and you will have an gist, okay, how to solve those questions. So this is the next question that we are going to solve, that is article views. So what we are going to look into this is basically we have a table. The table name is views, and in this table we have about four columns: article ID, author ID, viewer ID, and viewer date. The type of these articles are integers, and data type of date. So there is no primary key column with unique values, so we don't have any primary keys that could connect two tables. The table may have a duplicate rows. Each row of this table indicates that some viewer viewed an article on some date. And why I'm taking this example, because this is one of the real world scenario case, and we could see how we could solve this. So note that equal author ID and viewer ID indicate the same person. Write a solution to find all the authors that viewed at least one of their own articles. Return the table list sorted by ID in ascending order. And what we need to do is basically the result format should be in the following order. So write a solution to find all the authors that viewed at least one of their articles. So the author ID and the viewer ID should be same, and then it should be basically it should be in sorted by in ID by ascending order. So if you look onto this author ID, this line, to find all the authors that viewed at least one of their own articles. So what it tells you that get we need to get at least one of their own articles. So they have been duplicates, and we don't need the duplicates. Uh, so this one says that, why I'm saying that, because here you could see that there are some duplicates as well. So if we do the count the duplicates, this won't needed in the solution, and that's why this question is little bit tricky off when you try to attempt. And other than this, I don't think there would be any challenges into this. So let's look how you could solve this. So basically, we have article ID, author ID, viewer ID, and view date, and I think it's very much simple. So what we need to do is basically article ID and the viewer date ID should be same. Why? Because in this statement we need to find that the authors have seen at least one of their articles. So we need to count that ID. So here in this we could look that 47 author ID, like article ID, you could see that. So here you could see that in the author ID and in the viewer ID, we could see that this viewer have looked onto his article once, and this viewer have looked onto the his article once. So what we need to do is, first we need to select the distinct. So this might be a new statement, but basically it's very simple. What we need to do is we will use camel casing, select distinct, and which distinct we need to select from. So we need to select it from author ID. So we'll say author ID, author ID. So we have selected this from author ID, and what we need to do is we need to select it from which table? From views, right? Because this is the table we are selecting from, and we could format it. Basically, I like formatting, so I will format it. From views, we have selected it, and then what we need to do is we need to create a whereby clause. So where and where author ID author ID is equal to viewer ID, right? And then what we need to do is just order by author ID. Let's run it. So we have some wrong scenario, and this is good, right? We could discuss, okay, what's the challenges here. So you could see, um, what's the challenge here. The ID needs to be there in the output. You could see that this is coming, and this is the expected output. So the answer is correct. You just need to change the table name. And how you could change a table name in SQL is just use as ID instead of author ID. And why? Because in the output statement we need to use ID. So here we need to use ID. So we will use ID, and then we will run it and see the result. So here we are SQL question passed, and here we could look on to those. So what we'll do is basically submit it, and yeah, it's okay. And remember, you could create a solution method. I won't save it, but I will copy this question so you could solve this. uh, Basically, this is our second question that we are going to solve. And fear not, in the end of this course, what we are going to do is basically creating sheet for you guys to solve those 50 or 100 questions that you need to solve it again and again until you get a hold of this, and then you could solve any other question. And why? Because you know a story, right? There was, if you need to cut a tree, you need to sharpen, like if you have 10 hours to cut a tree, the most hour you need to sharpen is your axe, right? And then in the 2 hours you could do the most of the cut. So that's the game that we are going to do it here. So we have talked a lot of on uh, uh, other stuffs, like, but now let's look on to the questions, other questions. Now this is the last question that we are going to solve, and this is one of the famous question. As you could look at that number of upvotes, so it's a good question, and it might be a tricky, I think, for you guys, because it includes some or statement, uh, and I have already given out to you the bummer that how to solve this. So first you could try to attempt this one, and let's then we could you could pause this video, and then you could watch this video when you are able to solve it. So now you could try to attempt this. It's already one easy question, and you don't need to worry about this question. So I already will send this link. You could just look into the description, and you could able to solve this. So now let us look at the question what it says. So the question is big countries. So we have a table world. Name is the primary key, and it's a varchar character column with unique values for this table. Continents, we also have a varchar. We have area as integer, population and integer, and GDP as a big integer, means like it could be like in billions or trillions. So that's why it's a big integer. The population should also be a big integer, but I don't know. Like, they have set up this question, so it's up to them. So each row of this table gives information about the name of a country, the continent to which it belongs, its area, population, and its GDP value. A country is big if it's in area, or at least 3 million area, or it has a population of about 25 million. So here we need to look at, okay, basically you look at this. Okay, we need to use or statement, and this might trick you down. Okay, if we need to calculate the country, and if it's big enough, the what we need to do is the big enough. It's basically it should be around a 3k 300k kilometers and 20 to 50k kilometers. I hope it's right. So the unit system should be right. So what's the criteria for the big country? So to be a big country, right, in the question, to be a big country, you need to have at least area or population area about I think 300k. I hope it's right, and a population about 250k. This should be about, it should be greater or equal to this, or greater than equal to this. So if you need to be a big country, you need to be this one. So let me open the question. So yeah, it's here. So uh, what we next is asked is that we have input world table, continent area, population, GDP, and then we have big countries that we need to calculate. So return the result in any order. Write a solution to find the name, population, and area of a big country. So what we do, we need to select name, population, and area. From which table? We need to select from the world table, and where the area is greater than 300k square meters and 250k or 250k million peoples. So we got an idea, okay, how to write. Right, so first we will use column capital casing. So select what do we need to select? Name, population, and area. We have to select from which, from, we need to select it from world. This should be in small, world, from world. And then what the condition is, where the area should be around, yeah, 1 tens 100, 1000, 10,000, 100,000, 3 million, like greater than 3 million, uh, greater or equal to 3, yeah, or population. Now, I think that's correct, and let's run our code. Hopefully, it should be correct. I don't think any edge cases we are missing, and yeah, it's correct. Let us submit our code, and when it's done, what you need to do is, because I already have done this, and what you need to do is basically goes to your submission out. You could paste the link into this in the comment section, that once you attempted it, I will see it and appreciate, and I will upvote you for following along this part. So what you need to do is you need to attempt this 3 question again, and once you are done, you are ready to move on to the next part of this course, that is where we are going to learn about advanced SQL.